personally feel is the single worst burden of being beautiful?
Sorry. The single worst burden of being beautiful. You know, I have to be honest, I haven't really ever thought about that. I would say that professionally, sometimes people tend to take people who are very, attractive or beautiful less seriously, especially women. Yeah.
See, I guess that's another answer, is that sometimes people hate you because they think you're pretty. I remember one time when I was 18, I was driving through Coal Valley, and this woman, who must have been having a very bad day or a bad life, I don't know, she chased me down in her car and was flipping me off and screaming at me and screamed out the window, "You're lucky, you're a beautiful bitch." I guess I did something, maybe I cut her off, or I don't know. I consider myself to be a pretty good driver from the beginning, but this woman, I think sometimes people will take their shit out on you, if they, find that intimidating, or,
The worst burden of being beautiful or attractive, I would say, is the pressure that society puts on you to maintain that beauty.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea. I would imagine that people will want something from you based upon your aesthetic, opposed to all the glorious things that one's soul could offer. Maybe.
The worst burden. Spending more time thinking about how I look than I would if I was sure that I was unattractive.
People's lesser opinions of you. They think that, of course I'm not beautiful or attractive, so I don't know exactly, but they think that if you are very beautiful, you are less intelligent, you are less capable than other people around you.
Single worst burden of being, for me, or for anyone?
Could be either.
Well, I don't think I have too much burdens of beauty, but I do see a lot of women in the city where it's just like there's just constant bombardment from men, and so many of them are wearing Walkmans. I've talked to women who say they don't even turn them on, they just wear them and pretend they can't hear anything. And that seems kind of like that would be weird in your daily life. That might be a burden. I don't know if I could say getting hit on by women all the time would be a burden for me, but it seems as if it is. So I would say that's probably the simplest one that I think of.
I guess I've always seen it to be an advantage when you go out and need something superficial. I used to live with a beautiful roommate. I guess I can draw on that. And she always, got first in line, just, brought into places, got the last of something, there's some advantages in that way, but it was kind of a trap also because then she was always hooked into having to do things with people, and I don't know that she necessarily wanted to do it all, so.
I don't really know. I'd have to be beautiful to feel like that I understood the burden of it. Maybe I could project, I could imagine what a beautiful person would be bothered by. I suppose that would be the stereotypes that often come with being beautiful, that a beautiful person would also be dumb, maybe.
Being perceived that there's not a lot else to... God. Yeah, being thought of as dumb. It's not nice. Or that you don't have a lot of depth. Just people thinking that you don't have a lot of depth to you, really, no. Or that they, well, specifically, God, this is hard. Okay, because you've contacted me through YouTube, I get a lot of comments that just say stuff about how I look, and I'm confident with my appearance and what I show through my videos, and I'm happy with it generally. I mean, I have some problems, but I don't discuss them, and I'm not going to, and I would never specifically show them because I'm not comfortable with them. So that people don't really think about the effort that I put into them, I don't like that. Oh God.
I guess just knowing that what I am on the surface is going to be the first and oftentimes only thing people will see and look at, and that becomes who I am to other people. And if they think I'm beautiful, then often stops there. The interest stops there. Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone suffers in their own ways, you know, whether they're beautiful or ugly or somewhere in between. But I think, yeah, definitely, that other people just assume that your life is very easy and that there are no hardships or struggle for you simply because you look a certain way and people respond to that.
It all comes down to, well, I'm from the South. So in the South, a lot of women use their beauty as a way of getting through life. So I think the burden of that is not knowing your own self-worth because of your beauty, because you're kind of short-sighted. So I would say the single most thing that can burden a woman is not knowing how to use what it is that she has.
When I think of someone who's beautiful, when I think of their burden, what's the burden that they carry?
Or your own burden.
Oh, or my own burden, right. I guess everyone worries that there's I would worry, when I think of someone who's really beautiful, I worry that they're thought of first, they have to kind of overcome their beauty. I mean, I like the idea of being known first and foremost for what I've done, or the thoughts that I have, or what I have to bring to the table, and I definitely think you have to maybe overcome that a little, or you're given the benefit of the doubt if you're beautiful, or, you just always have to bring that to the table. It's just like any other privilege, I guess, right? Like, I've got white privilege, or, privilege for my education, and so you've just got this privilege of beauty, privilege of symmetry, I guess. Yeah.
That if a person is considered physically beautiful, then their personality is first of all marked by that people owe them something, or that their personality is ugly.
I don't know about that. If there's burdens, I don't know how much it factors into like my everyday life. Like, oh, this is a problem because I'm pretty, or this is a problem because I'm doing something else. Yeah.
I have never thought about myself before. I have never thought about myself as beautiful, first of all, so I don't know what it is to be like beautiful, I would say. So I can't really estimate the burden, the weight of it.
Single, I don't think there is really a burden of being beautiful. I can't imagine that.
Probably the being unapproachable.
Okay.
Not that, yeah. I mean, I can imagine this. I'm not either.
God, every morning I have to get up and drag a razor across my head. They're expensive. Oftentimes have a downside pack where I don't cut it a lot like in terms of like nick it, but occasionally a nick will like ruin my whole week, and then I'm forced to like shave over that little scab, and it's just like the worst thing in the world.
Probably just to get a lot of attention and stuff.
And that, you think that's a burden?
Yeah, you get stalkers, man. Like, I saw it on CSI.
One of the burdens would probably be dealing with people saying things to you, I guess. I'm a hostess at work, and it's a lot of just drunk guys who come up and are just gross, do you know what I mean? And it's just irritating. But I feel like I'm treated differently by certain women, for sure, because I feel like I'm a generally friendly person, but women won't come up to me generally and strike up a conversation. And sometimes, like, people that I'm friends with now, they'll say, I thought you were, like, pretty pretentious or whatever at first, and I'm pretty much the opposite of that.
You, like, look friendlier, and so it kind of makes people, like, want to talk to you and want to be nicer to you.
I'd say in this city, the worst thing I run into is a lot of catcalling and general frustration. I usually can't go through a crowd of people without being grabbed at. So I'll usually have to, if I dress down or I deliberately dress to look unnoticed, then I can usually be okay. But if I dress up and I wear anything like makeup or glasses or whatever, I'm more likely to get negative attention, so I usually don't do that.
I put probably too much emphasis on my external appearance. And I think a lot of, definitely in the past, like for me, I get kind of a hit when people tell me I'm beautiful. And so it's something that I feel like I have to live up to. And so I put a greater emphasis on what I look like and making sure everything's put together.
Okay, I think the biggest burden is that beauty is so objectified and it's so prized that you feel like you could be taken advantage of for being beautiful.
How so?
Well, it's like money or time. You know, it's so valuable. It's like a people view it as a limited resource, and anything that's limited like that, you know, food or money or anything, there's always going to be bad things that happen when people feel like there's not enough to go around, and they'll, you know, resort to violence or, you know, dishonesty to try and get more of it. So I think it can be abused in 1,000 ways just because it's considered to be so important.
I think that's my hardest thing, is actually seeing what might be beautiful about it. That some people think. I do think in some ways that I'm a beautiful person overall, but, you know, in my character and some of the things that I do, and I am happy with myself most of the time. But I've definitely had moments where it's been really hard for me to look at myself and feel like I'm a beautiful person, and see maybe what other people see.
Look at, not saying that I'm beautiful, but other people, probably is the main thing is jealousy of people around them, and that's probably the insecurities of that person.
Wow, well, I guess I don't generally think in those terms. I don't think of myself as beautiful on a regular occasion. I would say, if anything, people tend to have the expectation that I'm not very bright, and that's pretty annoying. So a lot of times I will meet someone and I'll realize that they're talking to me and using less syllables than is actually necessary, and that the assumption is I'm not very bright. So that's probably the biggest burden.
Questions like that. I feel like
I feel like people's other people's expectations that I might consider myself to be beautiful.
Constant harassment. It's hard to make it home from work without being asked out or followed or hit on or something like that. It always happens, at least once a day.
I've noticed that people that are shy, if they're like not particularly attractive, people don't think anything of it. But if you're like reserved, if you're like a shy person and you're good looking, people tend to think you're mean. Like that. People always think that I'm mean.
Well, let's see. We're right. Yeah, I mean, people presume to know who you are and what you're about, just off the cuff. I would say that would, you're already written, signed, sealed, delivered in people's eyes.
Single worst burden of being beautiful. Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is that you lose credibility in the eyes of others. I think people often see quote-unquote beautiful people and think that they're vapid and that's all they exist just for the purpose of looking beautiful, and maybe, they can't think, they don't have any more deeper meaning, etc. But do I think that's the biggest burden personally? And this is assuming that I think I'm beautiful, of course, but for the sake of argument, we'll assume that, which sounds ridiculous, but they're compelled by the beauty to think that that thing is the answer to the thing that they feel they're missing, and beauty is just kind of a distraction from the actual fact, which is both that a person can't answer a person's emptiness, and that beauty really doesn't really signify, it can never tell you that somebody's right for you, I think. So, I mean, I'm definitely talking mostly in relationship situations where somebody is wrong for somebody, but they just can't let go because that thing is so beautiful.